My UK office was in Oldham, Manchester, in the northwest of England. I got asked to sponsor the local football clubs. So I just thought, okay, we'll do that, because a lot of the workforce in the factory were supporters of the local football team. So they had their company name on the front of the shirt. You know, sponsorship of shirts is very prominent and varied these days, but back then it wasn't. So to have a sort of sleeping company on a football shirt created a bit of media interest. The big local team to my office was Manchester United, and I went along to some football events because I wrote the check out for the sponsorship. I happened to strike up a little bit of a relationship with Alex Ferguson then. The club that we were sponsoring was like a breeding ground for Manchester United players in those days. And that sort of, he was intrigued because my sort of narrative, my dialogue about sleep was different. But whilst they're all sleepers in the football club, like every human being, we looked at it from a recovery aspect. And the recovery aspect was something they'd not looked at all back then. So we started some dialogue, and that led to doing some little workshops, creating the first nap room for players in between training sessions, to looking at the physical aspects of sleep as far as injuries and protecting the postural care and things like that. And it happened to be the class of 92, as they're referred to, which was the Beckhams, the Scholes. They all played for the England squad, the national squad. So they started to talk to the coaches of the national squad about this strange guy who comes in and talks to us about sleep and stuff. So the physio at the time for the England squad was a guy called Gary Lewin. He was also the physio for Arsenal Football Club. And he got in touch, along with a good friend of mine, Andy Oldknow, who was the sponsorship commercial manager for the FA. He just basically was intrigued by what I was doing. And right at that same moment in time, the French guy called Arsene Wenger arrived at Arsenal Football Club and had a completely different view about football, sport, and the athletes and the players. So they got me in to talk to the whole squad, and that was a multicultural squad. So suddenly I woke up one morning, and you know, back then, without Twitter and Instagram, the press simply said, there's somebody talking to footballers about sleep. They know coaches in football, so they said, you know, they've got a sleep coach, which was all a bit tongue-in-cheek. You know, it was a bit of a giggle. You know, what on earth is this guy doing? So that's when I suddenly realized I was a sleep coach in sport. I suddenly had to try and put my dialogue around sleep together to be able to communicate it onto elite players and just change their perspective of it. And here we are today.